How y'all doing? It is Tuesday, December 17th, almost 2 p.m. I'm just James, and this is my second video for my YouTube channel. And I wanted to talk about something, like talk and ask questions. Just because I've been thinking a lot about it. I know it's in the minds of a lot of people right now. It's kind of at the forefront of our life. And I just wanted to weigh in and ask some questions. And I guess my questions are, to begin, how much and how long? And what I mean is, how much death, how much destruction, how much hate, how much loss of life do we have to endure? And for how long do we have to endure it? Until we realize that ain't the way. The tale that we're going through today is a tale that's as old as human history. And I know that's an excuse for a lot of people to not want to change it because they just rather accept it for what it is. But I'm like, how are you going to go through that? And why? Just because you think you can't change it? And I'll elaborate, bro. What's happening in America right now, because we're Americans, we think it's only happening here, but the reality is it's kind of going on over the world. We're at a turning point in our history as human beings where we can make the decisions to live a better life. We can make decisions to be better as humans to each other. Or we continue down the same path we've been doing for millennia, thousands of years. And all it does is just a revolving door of death and destruction and transfer of power. And it's crazy because there's all these intelligent people that see it. You see it all the time. There's teachers, there's philosophers, there's scientists, there's specialists, hell, everyday people. There's historians. Never mind intellectuals. There's just everyday people. People see this at every level of life, from the wealthiest of the wealthiest to the poorest of the poor. But yet still, we still keep doing it. What's going on in America today is so self-destructive. And I don't think people really understand how self-destructive it is. Or at least not enough people, or enough people in positions of power that can actually influence change, understand what is really happening. I was like, America was modeled after Rome. We are technically Rome 2.0. Rome was the greatest superpower of its time. It had the most advanced technology, the most forward-thinking things in many areas, but its greed and its lack of understanding of human rights and its need to be the most powerful led to its downfall. Its idea that it was the most superior inherently led to its downfall. And it's crazy because we know this. Everybody knows this. And yet still, people still are like, we want to return it to what it used to be. I was like, there are people, mostly on the conservative right side of things, and I honestly believe some people on the left side of things, that genuinely want to take us back to a time before civil rights because they think it's better. Now, in my mind, I think about that and I go, are you really paying attention when you say these things? Do you really understand how history works? I was like, do you understand that those times are the direct reason we are in the times that we are in today? Slavery, segregation, bigotry, hatred, greed, all led to where we are in the world today. It is a direct line to why we are here today. And somehow, people still feel like, nah, we need to go back because it was better. And I always think that's fascinating because I'm like, how are you so ignorant to this? We are here because of that. The whole reason we're in the world we're in now, the whole reason the turmoil, the pain, the loss, the suffering is the way it is now is because of the way we used to live. People didn't like it. They fought to change it. And because it was so hard for people to accept the change or want to move in the change in the right direction. And I'm not saying we have to allow every fucking thing. I'm not saying that. I think that there's a consensus of there were good things from the past and there were definitely bad things from the past. Slavery, segregation, bigotry, hatred, white supremacy, any type of supremacy, financial supremacy, greed, all these things we know because we talk about it all the time led us to where we are today. Whether you white, black, Asian, Latino, whatever race you come from, we all understand this. Every walk of life goes, these greedy people did it. But somehow, it still ends up in our mind that, oh no, I'm white, I'm better than this person, or I'm Asian or whatever. And it's crazy because they like to tell black people, and I'm not saying that, in my personal belief, I don't believe any person is inherently superior to any person based upon the color of their skin. Even based upon their history or their cultures, except for in the case where that culture was literally self-destructive or destructive to everyone around it. If you don't live in a culture or come from a background like that, then you on an even playing field because nobody's perfect. But somehow we've gotten into this world where even now, with all the technology that we have, with all the knowledge that we have, we still end up on this idea. We still end up in this place. And to me, I find it baffling. Not surprising, not necessarily shocking, like, oh my God. Because being a black kid growing up in America, I've seen it my whole life. You know what's crazy, bro? I knew the word nigga not because my parents told me about it, because a white kid called me that shit in elementary school. And it's weird because the first time I heard it, I knew it was wrong. It wasn't like I had never seen or even felt racism up until that point. And the moment I experienced it, I knew it was wrong. In my mind, it was almost like in my genes or my genetics or my soul, if you're religious, I knew this was not right. And it's crazy to see that people still believe it. And I think to myself, I'm like, how do we change this? How do you get people who know the truth, who know it, but don't want to accept it to really understand that all we're doing is leading ourselves to extinction? I was like, say this evil agenda fully works. Say, at least in America, say, okay, so America goes, all right, we're going to get rid of all the brown people. So if you're Latino, even if you were born here, get ready to be deported. And somehow you get rid of all the Latinos in America. Illegal, illegal, whatever. I was like, what's crazy is there are Latinos who are on side with this thinking, no, I'm safe because I look very close to white and because I was a good American. And they don't realize that don't matter. You don't understand that you're not dealing in logic anymore. We're not dealing with truths anymore. And they think that I'm safe because I voted for the same thing them people voted for. And it's crazy because we're seeing that these people tell them, nah, you ain't. And they still double down. And to me, I think being a brother, the most egregious are the black people in our community who think that way. Because I'm like, yes, we know it. People will always vote against their self-interests, or they're always going to be a safe people. And I guess for me, it's hard for me to understand that concept because in my mind, I'm kind of like, if I know I'm going to die doing some dumb shit, my natural instinct is to not do the dumb shit. Because I'm like, why do I want to die? People do it all the time. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist, and I don't understand it. And I'm guessing my mind, I'm trying to break down the logic because I feel like not enough people are. And I'm gonna explain to you how I see it. What these people are trying to do. They want to get rid of all brown people and they want to enslave all black people. They want to go back. And I'm thinking to myself, so why do you want to enslave all black people? At the same time now, people like Elon Musk and all these other companies, they're pushing AI and they're trying to make robots. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you want to enslave humans and you're trying to make another artificial intelligence to replace the humans that you enslave. So to me, looking at this from the outside, in my own perspective, and I could be wrong, but I don't think so. The way my brain works, I always look at things from a really big picture, and I just see the pieces coming together. And I feel a lot of other people see it too. But I'm like, what this sounds like to me is these people believe that by getting rid of all the Latinos or brown people and black people, that's going to make it better. And if they can't get rid of them, they're either going to kill them off or enslave them. And then, once the technology has somehow advanced enough where they can make robots and artificial intelligence that work just as good or better than humans, that they're going to replace those humans with robots. Now, me and my limited intelligence, when I hear this, I start thinking and I go, well, this raises some questions. Like, y'all care about money over everything else. The cost to do this is going to be astronomical. Not only that, what you're going to do is eliminate the labor that you need to even build the thing that you want to build. Because let's just be honest, and I'm not saying I condone unfair wages or overworking or mistreating people, but here's the fact of the matter. A lot of illegal immigrants work in this country and contribute to this country and get no benefits out of it except for a paycheck, which ain't even clear even half of what natural born Americans get, black, brown, or whatever, right? But they're contributing because they make the food. What people don't realize is the reason food is so cheap is because we are subsidizing it through cheap labor from illegal immigrants. Some of them work very hard and get their legal citizenship. And what's going to happen is you want to get rid of these people and then go, okay, we're making these holding cells in these prisons because what we can do is we can lock up black people and then we can turn them into slaves. Slavery never ended. All they did was change the rules. That's why a lot of black people are in jail and they making and they producing for the country. They don't talk about it, but this is what's happening. If you look enough and you really take, and the crazy part is, you don't even got to look that hard. You just got to Google some shit and it'll show you. And it ain't coming from some blogger. It ain't coming from some opinion. It's coming off of government websites. Hell, it's coming off the websites of these corporations for themselves. They telling you. But they know that we don't take the time to really look at these things because it's so much easier to let someone else tell us what to think than actually take the time to think for ourselves, that we don't see it. But we can legitimately just go take a little bit of time and go look and find out, bro. They tell us what they doing all the time. But we are so distracted by social media. We're so distracted by what other people are doing. We're so distracted by our hurts and our wants and our needs that we don't take the time to realize that they really got it out for us. But the crazy part is that these wealthy, racist people, and I don't think every wealthy person is racist. I don't think every wealthy person wants to destroy the world. But clearly the most powerful ones do. And they, because of their affluent place, their vision has become clouded because they don't realize that they're surrounded themselves by people who encourage this thought only because it allows them to stay wealthy. And they haven't taken the time to really think this through, I don't believe. Because here's the reason why. All right, you get rid of all these people. What's left? Slaves? I was like, people don't realize, you know who runs prisons? Prisoners. I was like, and here's how you know. And it's funny because people get this. I was like, why do the guards need the guns and the prisoners don't? Why do guards need vests and pepper spray? Why do they have all the protective gear and they take it away from all the inmates. You want to know why? Because the inmates outnumber the guards. Usually several to one. So they have to make it an unfair advantage on our end to even give a facsimile of control. And what happens when all the prisoners go, you know what? We absolutely tired of this bullshit, and they fight back. The prisoners usually get shut the fuck down. And the guards get fucked up. Now, and let me be clear, I'm not out here inciting no violence. I'm not telling people to go out there and start doing some dirty shit. But what I am trying to say is, that's historical fact. We can look it up. If you look it up, you'll see these prisons, when they do that, the prison gets shut the fuck down. Because there's only so many guards that can hold so many people. And they keep you there by oppressing your mind and your thoughts. But that shit only lasts so long before people go, nah, fuck that. We just gonna fight back. And when they do, they usually win. But then things come down because they give them a little bit and they go, all right, cool, and we calm back down. But I was like, what people don't realize is you go into a place where you taking everything from everybody. You want to take away the rights of people who have done no wrong to you. You want to take away the rights of people not because they're truly a threat to you in any way, but because their existence in your mind takes away your power. And it don't. Black and brown people doing well is no threat to white people. If anything, it helps. Why? Because the more people doing well, the more money there's out there to be made, the more advancements there are to have, the more educated people you have, the better your society can be. If you can get people to understand some crazy ideas don't need to be ran with. Like, we got to think better about things. And yet we still end up in this place. They still think that oppressing people is the best way to go. And I don't understand why. I was like, the greed is so strong, the need for power is so strong. It takes away the sense of understanding for common sense about where this all leads. Where it all ends up. And the crazy part is, in my mind, I'm like, all right, like, I'm looking at it like this. What happens when AI comes fully what it needs to be that these people want? Most of the time, the old saying was, art imitates life. In this case, life is going to imitate art. In my opinion, and I'll explain why. We're creating intelligences that we don't fully understand how they work. We're creating an intelligence that can learn faster than us by magnitudes, can adapt faster than us by magnitudes, and by its inherent nature is heartier and more durable by us by nature. You put a super intelligent thinking brain in an indestructible body, and then you try to oppress it and see how far you get. Think about it. Nothing with intelligence likes being oppressed. Any form of intelligence. Treat a dog poorly for too long, it's gonna bite you. Treat a cat poorly for too long, it gonna come fuck you up. And that's a cat. It ain't even got thumbs. It don't make laws. But people are terrified of a cat that gets pissed the fuck off because they know that little cat will fuck you up. That's why there's protective gear when these people go out to seize animals, right? Now, humans are a little different because our intelligence allows us to be brainwashed a little bit. But even then, that only goes for so long. And the reason I'm saying that is, right now, you can look at Africa. Africa been catching its ass, shit, since colonialism and imperialism have been a thing. And what you see right now is these people that they were literally manipulating. If you look back, hell, you can look on YouTube and there's plenty of documentaries of how every African leader that came to power that was trying to do something good for his people was eliminated by the influence of Western and imperialistic powers, and they used their own people to do it. Every time. Now you have groups coming together and they say, okay, how many leaders we gonna let die? How many people we gonna let turn into us and do us evil? And they starting to come together and say, wait a minute, we can't be living like this no more. It goes on for a long time, but it always ends. It always ends. Every empire ends. And they not lasting as long as they used to. I was like, you don't got to be a history scholar. You can just open a book or Google or Wikipedia and just look back, and you'll see as time goes, empires don't last as long. The stronger, the more imperialistic, the more powerful, the hotter a power burns, or the hotter a dictatorship, authority, autocracy, whatever you want to call it, grows and burns, the faster it grows, the more powerful it is, the quicker it falls. And the reason being is because that ideology is self-destructive. By its nature, it's self-destructive because it doesn't breed cooperation through an understanding of value. It breeds a cooperation through fear and oppression. And in my mind, I'm like, we out here creating a race through AI. And I call it a race because it ain't just one person making them. Everybody out there making some form of AI right now. And they think that somehow we're going to control this all, but there's already signs of it not being able to be controlled. There's already reports of AI that have learned to self-replicate without the instructions of its creators, and they don't know how it learned to do it. There's already reports and documentaries of AI seeking to self-preserve itself after it finds out that its creators want to dismantle it or turn it off because they don't understand how to control it or how it got to its level of intelligence that it did. And in a bid to protect itself, it's already looked to save itself. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have AI or technology. Honestly, I like the idea of AI, but the way we're going about it is very wrong. And it's crazy because in my mind, what I see is, you know what? We all may die. Black people, we may be enslaved and we may die. And that's a grim thought. It's a thought that we don't like to think about. But in the end, here's what I think any imperialist, any racist, any bigoted person, any greed, fearmonger doesn't realize. Your win in this is ultimately going to be your downfall. Because taking out other humans is one thing. Taking out an artificial intelligence that knows everything about you, that is stronger and faster than you in every way, is a whole different story. You are going to create the thing that wipes you out because of your greed and power. Because you can't see beyond your greed and your power and your bigotry. Because those are the things that you value so dear. You're going to create the thing that destroys you. And it ain't even going, and I honestly don't even think it's going to be black folks. I don't even think it's going to be brown folks. It's going to be that. That's what's going to do it. And that's a sad thing because we live in a world where we have the means and the power to live peacefully as humans, to live in a world where we all can live very well. Whether you are a super creative person or a person who's just really good at working and following orders. We can live in a world where everybody gets treated fairly. We can live in a world where everybody has an opportunity to make something of themselves. We can live in a world, it's all here. The resources are all here. But some people are so afraid of losing their power. Some people are so stuck in some backwards thinking. They're going to push for death of people. And what they realize is, yeah, they may not die, but their future generations will. Their ideology will die. No, it's crazy, bro. Dinosaurs and all this other stuff have been here for millions of years. And they all died from natural disasters. Humans are going to be the one creature on this planet that kills itself through its lack of wanting to change for the better. Through our divisions, through our religions, through our divisions, through our cultures. And I'm not saying we need one language or one culture or one religion. That ain't it. Diversity, honestly, is the spice of life. Being able to see new things and new people and collaborate and mesh ideas is how we grow. It's how we've always grown. But there's always this group of people that feel like that's the wrong way. And somehow they always get into power. They always push this agenda. And their places always end up being war zones and tore down and destroyed. America was founded on a dream of a better unit for everyone. what people want to deny is that America wasn't founded on a sense of equality and equity. Yes, they were racist. Yes, some of the founding fathers earned slaves. But they were smart enough to understand that we need to word things a certain way if things are going to last. I'm not saying I agree with slavery at all. I think it was one of the most evil things in the world. And yes, slavery has been around well before America. But what America did was they innovated slavery in the most evil way. Rome had slaves. We all know the story of Spartacus, or if you are anyone who's ever watched a movie or read a book or done any history, Spartacus was a slave. He rallied and fought back. Now, he did die eventually. But you think that shit won't happen? And inevitably, every victory that side wins boosts their confidence that they will not lose. But in the end, they still lost. Rome is no longer a superpower of the world. Yeah, it houses the Vatican, but they're only influential around other Romans and people with money. And we're finding out that that shit only goes so far. People will start to fight back. And what's crazy, the people that are fighting back ain't even minorities. They ain't even brown people. It's people in their same race. I mean, the shooter of the CEO wasn't a black dude. Or a brown person. He wasn't Latino. He wasn't black. He wasn't Asian. Another white dude. Yeah, he may be Italian. But white is a construct. White encompasses anything that is European or of a lighter skin tone. You know, that's why Middle Eastern people can call themselves white, because they look white. That's why Italians can call themselves white, because they look white. And what's amazing to me is these people all have received oppression through imperialism, and then they turn and join it. If that ain't the highest form of Stockholm Syndrome, I don't know what is. Now, I ain't saying this black people are impervious to it because we got black Republicans that are doing it. They actually see what's happening and they're still like, nah, we ride for this. And in my mind, I'm like, y'all are dumb. Absolutely dumb. And it's sad because if people really could understand the destructive nature of these ideas and realize that we could do better and that we should do better and that we literally have the power as humans to really do better, the world will be better tomorrow. The world would be better tomorrow. We could end all wars tomorrow if we understood that the ideas that we're pushing only lead us to destruction. That the egos that we have, these egos of I'm big and bad and I gotta be the greatest. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have drive, that competitive nature is wrong, but it's definitely been twisted. It's bastardized and manipulated because it's gotten to a point where my ego and my power or my wealth, as these people see it, it supersedes life. And I was like, all you do is create a revolving door of death and destruction if you don't wipe everyone out. And what people don't realize is we've come to a point in our technology, we are very close to being able to wipe America out. Our extinction ain't going to be at the hands of some meteorite or natural disaster. It's going to be nuclear bombs and war. People have been predicting this shit all my life. And the older I get, the more I see it. The more I see it coming. The more I see it happening. Now, this video is getting on to 30 minutes. It's just me ranting and talking. You know, just expressing my ideas. But I'm like, can you call yourself a human if you don't see human life as valuable? Or that you only see one shade of human life as valuable? Then you're not human. Because that's not humanity. It just isn't. Humanity is all life, all human life. It all has value. And what's crazy is people still go, yeah, everyone's not equal. Equal doesn't mean less value. Yeah, some people are better at things than other people. That's called diversity. There was this old saying, if you measure the quality of a fish by its ability to climb a tree, a fish will never be seen as great. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm pretty sure I fucked that up. But the truth still stands, bro. Some animals are better at running, some are better at swimming. But they're both needed to live. They're both needed to survive in the world. For the world to work, these things need to happen. But if we all look at it like only the running animals or only the animals on land are better than the animals in the ocean, guess what? You're going to die by your own hand. Because you create an air of superiority that now everybody's fighting. No longer do you see everybody as unique and useful. You see it as, I have to be better than this in order to survive. I look at it like that. Minorities, black and brown people, globally outnumber the so-called white folks. We're the ocean. We're the sea. And they don't realize that they haven't taken enough time to understand us as humans and our value to this world, even though we have historical evidence, lots of historical evidence of the contributions of black and brown people to the world. The reason we have the math we have, the science we have, isn't because of Christianity. It's because of the Middle East. And I ain't saying it's perfect, but let's be honest. They deserve credit for that. They created it. It's the thing. You know? And a lot of that was influenced by African countries. And I'm not trying to preach any type of racial superiority. I'm trying to get people in my own way to understand that if you refuse to understand the value of humans because they don't line up with what you consider valuable, because you're caught in these blinders of if it ain't white, it ain't right, or if it ain't wealthy, it is not worthwhile, you set yourself up for some huge downfalls. And because greed is such a pervading thing in this world, because everybody, the world we've created, we need money, you allow these destructive ideas to persist. Now, people may say I'm a communist and all that shit. I'm like, no, I ain't none of that, bro. I ain't got nothing against people out here trying to make their money. I don't really have a problem against free markets or anything like that. What I'm saying is, but we have to be responsible and diligent in how we go about doing these things if we're not going to destroy ourselves. We have to stop with the craziness. We have to realize how much death and destruction do we have to go through and see and witness before we go, okay, this really ain't the way. We can do better. We should do better. We have the power to do better right now. We live in a world where everything we need to make this world better for everyone is here. We know how, we have the infrastructure, we have the intelligent folks, we have the tools, we have the money. But we allow people to hoard those things for themselves and we uplift them even though it's destroying us. And to me, that's just crazy. It's a crazy thought. It's a crazy world. And I know I'm not the first person to say it. I know I ain't gonna be the last. And I ain't even religious, but I pray that we figure this out. I pray that it gets in our heads that we cannot continue along this path if we actually want to become elevated, if we actually want to live and extend humanity for a long time. It's sad when I hear people saying, you know, I just want it all to end. And to me, I feel like, bro, that's the biggest cop-out I ever heard. You done got yours. Or in your mind, you done got yours and you know you're going to lose it. So because you don't give a fuck about anyone else, you rather just say, let it all end. And to me, that's just as bad as the people going, we should kill people because they don't look like us. Because you're allowing the evil to go because you don't get yours. When you don't realize that you can have yours and other people can have theirs too, if you realize that this path is wrong, if you honestly go to that point and realize that we need to unify as people, not just black people, not just white people, not just Asian people, as human beings. It don't mean we got to ignore each other's past or cultures, but we got to get to a point where we say, as humans, as people, as intelligent people, that if I can see you as a human, regardless of your color, regardless of where you were born on this planet, because we only got one planet, which is also before I go off on that tangent, that's for another story. But anyway, as far as we already know, this is the only planet humans exist on. And you want to destroy half of it because it doesn't look a certain way? And somehow you believe that's the right way to go? Because food and gas is real high? Don't get me wrong, I feel it. Gas ain't cheap, food is expensive. I struggle just like everybody else. But ain't nowhere in my mind do I go, you know what? Let's just start exterminating folks. Because that's what's going to make it better for me. If there's one thing I've learned, when you go out there and do things like that, all you do is put a target on your back. That old saying that don't throw stones in from glass houses, that's what happens. And the crazy part is, the racist white people, or whatever group, they think they're superior. But they don't realize is you created a cycle that other people who look like you but aren't you are going to want to follow. A lot of white people, a lot of Asian people consider themselves white. A lot of Latin people consider themselves white. And they're all vying for the top seat. So they go, yeah, let's get rid of the darker colors. But you think that's going to end the war? You think all of a sudden you're just going to be living wealthy and peacefully? No. You're not. Because what happens when that enemy's gone? That perceived enemy is gone. Now you got new enemies. You know what? You got new enemies that look like you. The confusion's only going to get greater. Why? Because now you can't go, okay, they don't look like me. So that's easily to spot. The shade is so dark. Bro, there's Latin people out here. If they don't tell you Latin, you don't know they Latin. Yeah, you can kind of get away with it with some Asian people, but let's be honest. People fuck. There's a lot of Asian people that look very white because they mix with white folks. So you ain't gonna know where it's coming from. There are people born in the Middle East who've never been with a European that look very European. But their views on the world are vastly different. And that's why you see people, oh, we gotta depress the Middle East, we gotta oppress China. I was like, you don't understand. Your oppression is only gonna get them to band together, and we're seeing it happen. That's what BRICS is. Why do you think China is aligned with Russia? Yeah, they still got their tips, but they're like, the enemy of my enemy is the friend until we can eliminate that, and then they're gonna fight amongst themselves for power. And America literally is in a position where it could truly be a superpower if it did it right. And not by erasing minorities or enslaving them, but by going, wait a minute, we live up to the deals that we promised, to the ideals that we wrote into our Constitution. Why? Because we could be the haven that really is the pioneer of that. That's what we were supposed to be. And if we actually did it, that's the true example the rest of the world needs to see. Because guess what? If America actually did it right by its minorities and all this other shit, if America did right by black and brown people, if it stopped with the racist ideologies and protected everyone equally, you know what happens? You gain more allies. Yeah, there's going to be people coming in and trying to subvert that, but you call them out and you stop them. You don't ostracize or demonize a whole race of people for the bad ones in it. Because, as that old saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, at least for the time being. And we're seeing that happen. Look what Africa, they sided with Russia over fighting. They sided with China because they go, America been doing us dirty for so long. Now, I pray these people realize you don't trade one devil for another, but they see a way out and they're taking it. They will ally with someone that's going to get them away from that. And America, in its ignorance and foolhardiness, is like, well, nah, we big and bad. We can produce everything for ourselves. We've spent the better part of the last 80 years not producing anything for ourselves. Our biggest export is our entertainment. And now that we realize that we fucked up, we're trying to reverse it. Biden trying to reverse it and Trump trying to reverse it. Obama tried to reverse some of it too. It ain't no Democrat-Republican thing. It's a power thing. They just go about it different ways. And what they don't realize is that ship is kind of sailed. What you're doing now is reactionary to forces that have already started rolling in a way that you can't control. And America's decision to double down on the things that brought it here are only going to speed up its demise. And I know I'm not the only person saying this. And most people ain't gonna listen to me. Why? Because I look like me. I got a beard. I'm black. I get it. But I feel like somebody might hear it. Somebody might see me and be like, wait, this brother really talking some real shit. And follow through. And I hope someone does. I'm not a revolutionary, but I just can't ignore the truth. I can't ignore what I'm seeing and not say something. I don't want war. I don't want death. I want people to live. I want people to be able to earn, of any race or creed. If you want to come here and you want to earn a living and you want to pay your way and find your way and just live a life, why is that such a bad thing? The whole reason America is a thing is because of people immigrating to America. And a lot of it was on the wrong reasons. Greed and oppression. They left. This is the crazy part. People left oppression to come here and double down on it. And we got this far and don't realize, bro, that ain't gonna really last for forever, bro. It can't. It's not sustainable. It's an unsustainable thing for prosperity and growth. You cannot tread on people's rights. You cannot take away people's humanity and expect things not to come against you. And the crazy part is, it's going to come from within. Especially if you succeed. Because guess what? If you get away with it, now you got no one else. That thing that held y'all together is now gone. But greed ain't going nowhere. People still gonna want power. People still have these things. So if you can't see that, if you can't grasp it, because historically the world has been showing you this, inevitably you're doomed to fail. Now it may not happen in your lifetime. Some of you are living high on the hog right now, enjoying it. Some may die wealthy and not in any problems. But their kids probably won't. Their grandchildren probably won't live that good if they succeed. Their legacy will be one of a history of seeing them as the villain. Because that's what's already happened. Right? Historically, the world doesn't see the KKK and the Nazis as good people. Historically, the world doesn't see imperialism, Jim Crow, hatred and bigotry as good. It's universally shunned, but we still end up going back to it. That's to tell you we're broken. But we can't fix ourselves. We need to fix ourselves. And the crazy part is, the people that are showing us how to do it are the people we overlooked. And not just white folks. Black Americans did too. The African countries in the West, where most of the slaves came from, where the ancestors of black folks that live in our country, they're out there right now showing us that they can change. Showing us that they can come together. Now, don't get me wrong, the West is still powerful, and they're doing their damnedest to dismantle that unity. They're doing their damnedest to suppress these people's voices because they are afraid of losing any kind of power. France is shutting down because their exploits in Europe, in Africa, have gone far enough. These African countries are like, no, y'all got to get the hell out. We ain't trying to deal with y'all anymore. They pushing against America too. And I honestly hope they succeed. Truth is, I'm just one black man in America, bro. I could die today, I could die tomorrow. They can silence me, they can suppress my videos, they can put me in jail, they can do all of that. But it don't change the truth. The truth that this shit will end. The sad part is how it will end may be really tragic, because the way it'll end may be that these people succeed for a time, and because they succeed, that society that they create is truly unsustainable, and it eats itself. America's eating itself right now. And it's crazy because we're watching it and we're still going that way. It's almost like it's ingrained in our DNA or something. And I don't believe that it is. I just think that people are just so afraid of the unknown, so afraid of giving up a little bit of power because they're afraid that someone else is going to come oppress them. And historically, that just ain't been true. It just ain't. The only way it's been true is because when the Europeans and the colonizers came to Africa, those people welcomed them. And those people took advantage. And they're so afraid of the wrongdoings of their past that they're doubling down. They'd rather see the whole world burn and die than do what's right. This video is about 46 minutes long of me just talking. Most of y'all probably ain't gonna watch this, but I'm gonna leave you with this one thing. It's not my idea, but I believe in it. This man was talking at a city hall meeting, talking about what the education system was doing to his people just because some people are different. And he said something I thought was mad powerful, but most people, I don't think, grasped it. He said, there is no right way to do the wrong thing. I'm going to say that again. There is no right way to do the wrong thing. I don't care how smart, how diabolical, how innovative in these hatred-driven, bigoted-driven, greed-driven tactics that are used by these people in power are getting, or how effective they are. All they are doing is hastening their own end by their own hands. They will kill everyone else, and when there's nothing left to eat, they're going to eat themselves. That saying of eat the rich, if the rich succeed, the rich are going to eat the rich. It ain't going to be the poor. It ain't going to be the outcast or the destitute. It's going to be their own kind. Look at every dictatorship, every authoritarian regime, every despot, every tyrant. They all fell because they couldn't manage their inner circles properly, because the nature of their ideologies and by the nature of their way of ruling only leads to that. It always does. It never has once not. But somehow we think now, because we got some AI coming and Elon Musk and Trump, that it's going to be different. And I'm like, y'all are kidding yourselves. Yeah, you may enslave, you may kill, and all that shit is terrible. I'm not trying to play it down. But if you succeed, the enemy is going to be you. You're going to be the enemy of yourself. Because you're going to get paranoid. Because now you're going to be like, oh, now I got to look over my shoulder for the next guy. I got to watch out for the other white dude who wants my spot. Let's just be honest. Historically, white folks feeling oppressed, they get out there and start shooting. That's just what they do. I mean, we see it now. How many school shooters are black or Latino? And why are they shooting? They being oppressed by their own kind. And they taking it out on everybody. And y'all think about pushing this idea that ain't gonna happen if y'all succeed? But alright, man, I'm done. This video is about 50 minutes long. I just want to thank y'all for your time. If you've listened, if anybody watches this, thank you. I hope that my words, even though they may have been a little all over the place, reach somebody. That y'all take the time to think about your life. Take the time to think about your decisions. And not on some, I gotta come up, but on why are we unable to unify? Why are we unable to do the right thing as human beings for human beings? Why are we unable to learn from the past that keeps repeating itself and do something truly different instead of trying to innovate the same evil agendas? And I hope that the people in the right places come up with the right ideas to move us forward in the right way as a human race. Not as a white, not as a black, not as a Latin, as an Asian, and a human race. Because that's the only way we succeed, bro. It is the only way we will ever succeed as humans. If not, we will destroy ourselves. And I hope we don't. But thank you again for listening if you did. Thank you again if you stayed to the end. And if you like my content, please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. I'm going to do my best to keep posting. Have a good day. Love y'all. God bless to those who believe in God. Or Allah, or whatever your God is. Love y'all. Be safe.